The terrible paradox of self-awareness. Fernando Pessoa. In the vast tapestry of human thought, few minds have grappled with the enigma of self-awareness as profoundly as Fernando Pessoa, the Portuguese poet and philosopher. His work stands as a testament to the terrible paradox that lies at the heart of our existence. The more we seek to know ourselves, the more elusive our true nature becomes. Today we embark on a journey through the labyrinth of Pessoa's consciousness, exploring the fractured mirror of self-awareness and the profound implications it holds for our understanding of identity, reality, and the human condition. Pessoa's genius lay in his ability to fragment his own identity into multiple heteronyms, each with its own distinct personality, philosophy, and writing style. Through these diverse voices, he explored the multifaceted nature of human consciousness, revealing the inherent contradictions and complexities that lie within each of us. As we delve into Pessoa's world, we must ask ourselves, are we truly singular beings? Or are we, like Pessoa's heteronyms, a collection of disparate selves vying for expression? Consider for a moment your own sense of self. How consistent is it from one moment to the next, from one context to another? We often speak of finding ourselves or being true to ourselves, but what if the very notion of a unified self is an illusion? Pessoa's work suggests that our identity is not a fixed point, but a fluid, ever-changing constellation of thoughts, emotions, and experiences. This realization can be both liberating and terrifying. On one hand, it frees us from the tyranny of a rigid self-concept, allowing us to explore the full range of our potential. On the other, it confronts us with the unsettling possibility that there is no essential I at the core of our being. We are, in Pessoa's view, a living anthology of other selves, constantly shifting and reforming in response to the world around us. But if our sense of self is so mutable, how can we ever hope to achieve true self-awareness? This is the terrible paradox that Pessoa grappled with throughout his life. The very act of introspection, of turning our gaze inward, alters the object of our observation. We can never see ourselves as we truly are, because the act of looking changes what we see. Imagine for a moment trying to observe your own eyes without the aid of a mirror. It's an impossible task, for the very organs of perception cannot perceive themselves directly. In the same way, our consciousness cannot fully grasp itself, for it is both the subject and object of its own inquiry. This is the mirror at the heart of Pessoa's paradox, a reflection that distorts even as it reveals. Yet, despite the seemingly insurmountable nature of this paradox, Pessoa's work offers us a path forward. By embracing the multiplicity within ourselves, by giving voice to our various selves, we can begin to map the contours of our consciousness. It is not about finding a single unified self, but about recognizing and integrating the many facets of our being. I invite you to engage in a thought experiment. Imagine that, like Pessoa, you could create distinct personas to express different aspects of your personality. What would these heteronyms be like? What philosophies would they espouse? What truths about yourself might you uncover through this act of creative fragmentation? This exercise is not merely an intellectual curiosity, it has profound implications for how we navigate our inner and outer worlds. By acknowledging the multiplicity within us, we can develop greater empathy for the diversity we encounter in others. We begin to see that the contradictions and inconsistencies in human behavior are not flaws to be eliminated, but natural expressions of our complex nature. Moreover, this perspective offers a powerful antidote to the cult of authenticity that pervades modern culture. Instead of striving to be true to a single, fixed self, we can embrace the fluidity of our identity. we can allow ourselves to grow, change, and adapt without feeling that we've betrayed some essential core. But this embrace of multiplicity comes with its own challenges. How do we maintain a sense of coherence amidst the chaos of our many selves? How do we make decisions and take action in the world when our inner voices are in constant dialogue and potential conflict? Pessoa's answer, reflected in his life and work, was to cultivate a kind of meta-awareness, a consciousness that could observe and hold space for all of these disparate selves without being fully identified with any of them. This is not dissimilar to the concept of the witness consciousness found in Eastern spiritual traditions, a state of awareness that observes thoughts and emotions without becoming entangled in them. As we conclude this first segment of our exploration, I leave you with a question to ponder. If your sense of self is not fixed, but fluid and multifaceted, how might this change the way you approach your life, your relationships, and your place in the world? The paradox of self-awareness, as illuminated by Pessoa, invites us to step beyond the confines of our habitual self-concept and into a more expansive, dynamic understanding of who we are. In our next segment, we will delve deeper into the practical implications of Pessoa's philosophy, exploring how we can navigate the complex terrain of our inner world while still engaging meaningfully with the outer world. But for now, I encourage you to sit with these ideas, to observe the ebb and flow of your own consciousness, and to consider the possibility that you are, like Pessoa, a living anthology of selves waiting to be discovered. The kaleidoscope of consciousness dancing with the shadows of self as we continue our exploration of Fernando Pessoa's profound insights into the nature of self-awareness. We find ourselves standing at the edge of a vast internal universe. The terrible paradox that Pessoa illuminated forces us to confront a startling reality. Our consciousness is not a singular, cohesive entity, but a kaleidoscope of shifting perspectives, each refracting the light of our experiences in unique and often contradictory ways. Consider for a moment the myriad roles you play in your daily life. You might be a parent, a professional, a friend, a lover, a student, a teacher, each role calling forth different aspects of your personality, different ways of thinking and being. Pessoa would argue that these are not mere facets of a unified self, but distinct consciousnesses, each with its own voice, its own truth. But how do we reconcile these multiple selves? How do we navigate the internal cacophony without losing our sense of coherence? Pessoa's approach was radical. Instead of seeking to unify these disparate voices, he gave each one free rein, allowing them to speak through his heteronyms. In doing so, he discovered a profound truth that our fullest expression comes not from silencing our inner contradictions, but from embracing them. I challenge you to experiment with this approach in your own life. The next time you feel conflicted about a decision or a belief, instead of trying to resolve the conflict, give voice to each perspective, right from the viewpoint of each self that has a stake in the matter. You may find, as Pessoa did, that this process reveals insights and possibilities that were hidden when you approach the issue from a singular perspective. Yet this embrace of multiplicity is not without its perils. As we become more aware of the diverse chorus of voices within us, we may feel a sense of fragmentation, a loss of the stable identity we once took for granted. This is the shadow side of self-awareness, the realization that the self we thought we knew is, in many ways, a convenient fiction. But in this apparent loss lies a profound opportunity for growth. By loosening our grip on a fixed identity, we open ourselves to the full spectrum of human experience. We become more adaptable, more empathetic, more capable of seeing the world through multiple lenses. In essence, we expand our consciousness beyond the narrow confines of a single perspective. I invite you to reflect on a time when you surprised yourself when you acted in a way that seemed out of character or held a belief that contradicted your usual worldview. Instead of dismissing these moments as anomalies, consider them glimpses into the vast potential of your multifaceted consciousness. As we dance with these shadows of self, we must also grapple with a fundamental question: if we are not a single, unified entity, how do we make choices and take responsibility for our actions? Pessoa's work suggests that true agency comes not from a centralized self making decisions, but from a dynamic interplay between our various consciousnesses. Our choices emerge from this internal dialogue, shaped by the ever-shifting constellation of our thoughts, feelings, and experiences. This perspective invites us to approach decision-making with greater mindfulness and curiosity. Instead of asking, "What should I do?" we might ask, "Which aspect of myself is speaking now? What wisdom does it have to offer? And how does this wisdom interact with the insights of my other selves?" As we conclude this segment of our journey, I leave you with a profound question to ponder: if your consciousness is indeed a kaleidoscope of perspectives, constantly shifting and reforming, what might become possible if you fully embraced this fluidity? How might your relationship with yourself and the world around you transform? In our next segment, we will explore the implications of Pessoa's philosophy for our understanding of authenticity and the quest for meaning in a world of flux. But for now, I encourage you to sit with the discomfort and the wonder of your own multiplicity, to listen to the chorus of voices within, and to consider the possibility that your truest self is not a fixed point, but a dynamic dance of consciousness. The prism of authenticity, refracting truth through the spectrum of self. As we delve deeper into the labyrinth of Pessoa's thought, we encounter a profound challenge to our conventional notions of authenticity. In a world that often demands we present a consistent, true self, Pessoa's philosophy invites us to question whether such a self even exists. What if authenticity lies not in adherence to a single identity, but in the honest expression of our multifaceted nature? Consider the moments when you felt most alive, most genuine. Were these instances of perfect consistency, or were they times when you allowed different aspects of yourself to shine through? Pessoa would argue that our most authentic moments are those in which we embrace the full spectrum of our being, allowing each facet of our consciousness to refract the light of our experiences in its unique way. But this perspective raises a challenging question: if we are a collection of diverse selves, how do we navigate the social world that often demands coherence and consistency? The answer, perhaps, lies in developing a meta-awareness, a consciousness that can hold space for our multiplicity while still engaging meaningfully with others. Imagine yourself as the conductor of an orchestra, where each instrument represents a different aspect of your consciousness. Your role is not to silence any instrument, but to create harmony from the diverse melodies. This metaphor offers a powerful framework for understanding how we can maintain a sense of cohesion amidst our inner diversity. I invite you to experiment with this approach in your daily life. When faced with a decision or a social interaction, try consciously tuning into different aspects of yourself. What does your ambitious self have to say? Your compassionate self? Your playful self? By allowing each voice to be heard, you may find yourself accessing a deeper, more nuanced wisdom than any single perspective could offer. Yet this embrace of multiplicity is not without its challenges. As we become more aware of our diverse inner voices, we may struggle with feelings of inconsistency or even hypocrisy. But Pessoa's work suggests that these apparent contradictions are not flaws to be eliminated, but essential aspects of our complex human nature. Consider the paradox of the quantum world, where particles can exist in multiple states simultaneously until observed. Perhaps our consciousness operates in a similar way, existing as a superposition of potential selves until we interact with the world around us. From this perspective, our moments of decisive action or clear self-expression are not revelations of a fixed, underlying identity, but creative acts of self-creation. This view of authenticity as a dynamic, creative process rather than a static state of being has profound implications for how we approach personal growth and self-discovery. Instead of asking, "Who am I really?" we might ask, "Who am I becoming? What new aspects of myself am I ready to explore and express?" I challenge you to approach your life as an ongoing work of art, with each day offering new opportunities to explore different hues and shades of your consciousness. How might your relationships change if you allowed yourself to express different aspects of your personality with different people? How might your work evolve if you gave voice to parts of yourself that you typically keep hidden in professional settings? As we navigate this terrain of fluid identity and dynamic authenticity, we must also grapple with the ethical implications of our multiplicity. If we are not bound by a fixed self, how do we ensure consistency in our values and actions? Pessoa's answer lies in cultivating a deep sense of responsibility to the totality of our being, recognizing that each of our selves contributes to the overall tapestry of who we are. In our final segment, we will explore how this understanding of self can lead to a more profound engagement with the world around us, transforming not just our inner landscape but our relationships and our society. But for now, I leave you with this question to ponder: if authenticity is not about being true to a single self, but about honestly expressing the full spectrum of your being, how might this change the way you show up in the world? The symphony of selves, harmonizing inner multiplicity with outer reality. As we reach the crescendo of our exploration into Fernando Pessoa's paradox of self-awareness, we find ourselves at the intersection of inner complexity and outer reality. And the question that now confronts us is this: how do we bridge the gap between our multifaceted inner world and the seemingly unified external world we inhabit? Pessoa's life and work offer us a profound template for this integration. By allowing his various heteronyms to interact with the world, he created a rich tapestry of perspectives that, together, formed a more complete picture of reality than any single viewpoint could provide. We too can adopt this approach in our daily lives. Imagine for a moment that you are faced with a complex problem at work or in your personal life. Instead of approaching it from a single, fixed perspective, try channeling different aspects of yourself. How would your most analytical self approach this issue? Your most intuitive self? Your most compassionate self? By allowing these diverse inner voices to engage with the problem, you may discover solutions that transcend the limitations of any single perspective. This approach to problem solving is not merely an intellectual exercise, it has the potential to transform our relationships and our society. When we recognize and honor the multiplicity within ourselves, we become more adept at recognizing and honoring the diversity in others. We develop a deeper empathy, understanding that each person we encounter is, like us, a complex symphony of selves. Consider how this perspective might change your interactions with those who hold different views or values. Instead of seeing them as monolithic others, you might recognize that they too contain multitudes. This recognition can open up new avenues for dialogue and understanding, even in the face of apparent conflict. Yet, as we embrace this multiplicity, we must also grapple with the challenge of maintaining a sense of coherence and direction in our lives. Pessoa's work suggests that this coherence emerges not from adhering to a fixed identity, but from developing a meta-awareness that can hold and integrate our diverse inner voices. I invite you to cultivate this meta-awareness in your own life. Practice observing your thoughts and emotions without immediately identifying with them. Notice how different aspects of yourself come to the fore in different situations. Over time, you may develop a sense of yourself as the conductor of your inner orchestra, capable of creating harmony from the diverse melodies of your being. This integration of inner multiplicity with outer reality has profound implications for our understanding of personal growth and societal change. It suggests that true transformation occurs not through the imposition of a single, idealized self, but through the ongoing dialogue and integration of our diverse inner voices. As we conclude our journey through Pessoa's labyrinth of consciousness, I leave you with this final challenge: how might you live your life differently if you fully embraced your inner multiplicity? What new possibilities might open up in your relationships, your work, and your engagement with the world? Perhaps the terrible paradox of self-awareness that Pessoa illuminated is not a problem to be solved, but a gateway to a richer, more expansive way of being. By embracing the complexity of our inner world, we open ourselves to the full spectrum of human experience. We become more adaptable, more creative, and more deeply connected to both ourselves and others. In the end, the paradox of self-awareness reveals itself as a profound gift. It invites us to move beyond the limitations of a fixed identity and into a state of perpetual becoming. It challenges us to see ourselves and our world with fresh eyes each day, to approach life with curiosity and wonder. So I ask you, are you ready to embrace the symphony of selves within you? Are you prepared to dance with the paradox, to let go of the illusion of a single coherent self and step into the vibrant, ever-changing flow of consciousness? The journey may be challenging, but the rewards, a deeper understanding of yourself, more authentic relationships, and a more engaged way of being in the world are immeasurable. Let us, like Pessoa, become living anthologies of consciousness, ever expanding, ever exploring, ever becoming. For in this embrace of our multiplicity, we may find not just self-awareness, but a profound connection to the vast, intricate tapestry of human experience.